Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll get just a few more seconds to let others to come in today, but thank you for joining us. Coming in. My name is Lynn Stevens. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Lynn Stevens. I'm with the Ohio Department of Transportation, the Division of Small Business and External Workforce Development. And today we are starting our first webinar in our series, the Ohio Transportation Business and Workforce Symposium. We're glad to have everyone here today. Excuse me, having a computer issue here. Again, this is a webinar series. This is the first of 14 or so. We start today and we'll go through September the 29th. And on the screen, you'll see the flyers as well as a link where you can go to and see the listing of the events, transportation.ohio.gov/events. There's a QR code on the screen as well. That works as well. So we'll send out a recording of the webinar out afterwards. So no worries about that. But thank you. And hopefully you'll see we divided it between business development and workforce development. So whatever your area of interest, whatever industry you're in, hopefully you'll find something of interest and you'll come back and join us for a future webinar. Before we start the webinar, just give you a little bit of background on ODOT for those who may not be familiar. We are responsible for maintaining the state's highway system, and we promote transportation initiatives statewide. Our mission is to provide a transportation system that is safe, accessible, well-maintained, and positioned for the future. And we are a more than $3 billion per year enterprise, and we invest a lot of our resources into preserving our system through maintenance, construction, and snow and ice operations, which is probably the most familiar task to you for ODOT, clearing our interstates of the snow and ice in that winter time. And our division within ODOT is the Small Business and External Workforce Development. We are led by Deputy Director Deborah Green, and we have 3 offices. Office of Small Business Services, led by Julita Stoltz. And if you're DBE or SBE certified, that's where your application was handled in that office. Also under that office is our supportive services program, on the job training program, our external workforce development, Title VI, and the Americans with Disabilities Act, and Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Services Act. Our second office, MV Division, is the Office of Contractor Compliance, led by Katie DePlace, and they handle all things related to prevailing wage, certified payroll, prompt payment, SBE, DBE, EDGE goals that are set on our projects, and all the reporting requirements that come along with the DBE and SBE program. Goal attainment, good faith efforts, and commercially useful function, they monitor that. And then our final office within the division is our Office of Outreach. I lead the team of 4 outreach managers, and we are a resource for businesses who are doing business with ODOT, looking to do business with ODOT. We hold lots and lots and lots of events, webinars, workshops, and we meet one-on-one with businesses as well. And for consultants, we also help to monitor DBE and EDGE development goal plans. Our Office of Outreach has 4 regional outreach managers. Michelle Newmans, our Northwest Ohio outreach manager, handling ODOT districts 1, 2, and 3. Tony Perry Gillespie is our Southwest Ohio regional outreach manager, handling ODOT districts 7, 8, and 9. Jennifer Christ, our Northeast regional outreach manager, handling ODOT districts 4, 11, and 12. Lorraine Stevens, our Central and Southeast regional outreach manager, handling districts 5, 6, and 10. Anyone looking to do business with ODOT, are currently doing business with ODOT, have questions, please reach out to your outreach manager. And if they are not able to get the answers, they will get the answers for you and get back with you. But please feel free to reach out anytime we can be of assistance. And with that, we'll go ahead and start our webinar with Jerome Jones, our first speaker with the USDA, and Edwin Quinones with ECDI Columbus, and Margaret Tabor with our Ohio Department of Development, the Minority Business Division. So each of them will give you information about the programs. And then if you have questions specifically for one of the presenters, feel free to enter your question into the Q&A section. Hopefully you have a Q&A tab at the top right corner of your screen, and you can click on that and type your question in. We will be monitoring that throughout the webinar. We'll try to do questions after each presenter if they're specific to that, and then we'll open it up for more general questions or more questions after Ms. Tabor. We'll have a Q&A session, and all three will come back together on the screen. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Jerome Jones first. Please take it away. Thank you. Maybe you're muted, Mr. Jerome.
Okay, let's do that again. Jerome Jones, Lender Relations Specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. My main goal is to assist banks in doing SBA loans, do training, outreach, and visits. I'm going to talk to you about our three main programs, the SBA 7A Loan Guarantee Program, which is our most widely known and utilized program, the SBA 504 program, which is primarily used for business real estate, and the SBA microloan program, which I'm going to leave to Edwin Quinones at ECDI, since they are the only SBA microlender in the state of Ohio, and I think I can say this, number one in the country once again. The SBA SBA 7A Loan Guarantee Program is our most widely known and utilized program because it is done by SBA approved lenders. That's virtually 99% of every bank and credit union out there at this point. Loans are generally from about $25,000 to a cap of $5 million. The reason that it's most widely known and utilized is because it can be used for virtually any legal business lending purpose. So you can use it for equipment, working capital, real estate purchase, construction, rehab, and lines of credit. It's a guarantee program because the SBA doesn't lend the money directly. Actually, through any of our programs, we don't lend the money directly. In the SBA guarantee program, we guarantee a portion of the bank's funds. Now, any loan of $150,000 or less, we guarantee 85%, and any loan over $150,000, we guarantee 75%. Now, that guarantee is not on the loan, it's on the loss. And what I mean by that is any loan over over $50,000 must have collateral. Any loan under $150,000, the SBA doesn't require collateral, though the lender can get collateral if they so choose. So let's say the lender gives you a $250,000 7A loan. And after 5 years, that loan goes bad. So since it was over since it was over $50,000, collateral was required. So 5 years, the loan goes bad. The lender's going to sell whatever collateral they had on the loan. They're going to look at any owner who owned more than 20% of the company to see if there's any way to make themselves whole with personal assets or income from the owners. And let's say they collect all but $100,000. They bring that $100,000 back to the SBA. And since that loan was over $150,000, that guarantee was 75%. So we cut them a check for $75,000 or 75% of that $100,000 loss. That's the way the guarantee works. The SBA 504 program is used primarily for real estate. And when I say primarily, I mean about 99.9% of the time it's used for real estate. And I'll tell you why in a sec. So again, capped at $5 million. Typically, I haven't seen a lender do less than $150,000 on a 504 program. Now, just like the 7A program, that money doesn't come from the SBA directly. The 504 program is administered by CDC, Certified Development Companies, on behalf of the SBA. The 504 is a participation loan. So unlike a guarantee, it's a participation loan. And for round numbers sake, let's say you're looking at real estate of $1 million. It's a 50-40-10 split typically. So a lender, in this case, it doesn't have to be an SBA approved lender. On the 504 program, any lender will do 50% of the program. They get a first lien position. So $500,000 loan on that $1 million example, they're in first lien position. The only way they would lose money is if that real estate would sell for less than half of its appraised value. In all my many years, decades, I've never seen that ever happen. The borrower would put in 10%, so $100,000 in that scenario. And a CDC on behalf of the SBA would do 40% or $400,000. Now, the other than the 10% equity injection from the borrower, the other advantage to the borrower is that that 40% is a fixed rate for either 10 years, 20 years, or 25 years. It only comes in those three flavors. Right now, the 25-year fixed rate is under 6%. So it's an outstanding fixed rate for commercial real estate. The reason I said it's used for primarily for real estate, theoretically, you can use it for a single piece of equipment that has a useful life of at least 10 years because the shortest term is 10 years. So maybe a large metal stamping machine or something like that would qualify. And I know it has been done. I've never done one personally, but I know that has been done. So that's the way the SBA 504 program works. Microloan, as I said, I'll leave for Edwin to cover. Most of the people that call my office directly usually fall into that microloan category because they need less than $100,000. Typically, anyone who calls my office looking for $1 million, you have a relationship with a lender already. You wouldn't just call out of the blue, but occasionally that does happen. Those are our programs. I'll leave some time for the rest of the speakers, and we'll cover any other questions in the Q&A, or feel free to ask me now.
You, Jerome. Thank you. And my apologies, everyone. I forgot to do his introduction. As you see, he is very well versed, but he's a lender relations specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. Prior to that, he was a business advisor with the Ohio Small Business Development Center at the Columbus State Community College. He's been with the private sector with banks, Tel Ohio Credit, and also with ECDI for a portion of time, as well as with Key Bank. And he's just very active in serving in the community as well on boards. And we all invite him whenever we need a speaker on serving small business community. So thank you for that, Jerome. And I don't think we have any questions, so we'll go ahead and introduce the next speaker, Mr. Edwin Quinones, who is with ECDI, Economic and Community Development Institute. He's been working with ECDI for a little over 5 years, and he's the WBC manager, the Women's Business Center manager at ECDI, and very passionate about supporting small businesses. He helps to work with aspiring entrepreneurs and guide them through the steps needed to start their business. And he helps their clients with the development of business plans, financial projections, connects clients with resources, trainings, and access to capital. He has over 25 years of working experience in various fields that he can draw on to aid his clients. He also serves his community. He's a Latin outreach coordinator, and he formulates new relationships and increased engagement within the Hispanic community and other marginalized and underserved communities as well by providing outreach services. So with that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Edwin so he can let you know a little bit about the programs that he offers.
Thank you, Lynette. Appreciate that. Jerome, and thank you for the words that you put out there also. Well, my name is Edwin Quinones. I'm WBC manager here at ECDI, the Women's Business Center. And what we do here, we are a micro lender. So we do help startup businesses. Anybody who has an idea for a business, we can help out through the process. We do help with funding as well. For starting businesses under 2 years, you can qualify for $75,000. Over 2 years, you can qualify to up to $500,000. With us, minimum credit score to qualify is 600. So if you have a 600 credit score, you qualify for funding. If your score is under 600, don't worry about that because we do have programs that we can give you to help you. They're free programs. We do have resources, coaching, training, and of course, access to capital. We do everything at ECDI. So we don't send you to a bank, we do everything internally. We do have programs like we have a food for incubator, like we have a fully licensed commercial kitchen incubator. So if anybody's in the food industry, we have a commercial kitchen they can utilize. We have food truck space. We have a food truck commissary. They sell ice, they sell propane. It's a one-stop shop for anybody who's in the food business here. We also have a contract resource center. So if you're into construction, landscaping, cleaning services, we work with Turner Constructions and they do classes and trainings on how to get contracts and bids. And we also help contractors with constructions to help get funding for the contracts they're looking for. We also have a veterans area, also a VBOT department, which is Veteran Business Outreach Center. So if you're a veteran, we do have programs for you. Also, the interest rates on your loans are a lot lower than regular. So we do have tons of resources. We have programs. I always tell people I'm a guy, I know somebody. So if you need something, I most likely know somebody in the industry that can help you. If it's something that we cannot do, I can definitely connect you with a resource that can. Um, Let me see. We do just about everything here. Help, like Lynette said, we help out with business plans, financial projections. We help you get prepped and ready for lending. So we basically make sure you have everything you need for either funding or to scale. If you want to scale your business, we can help you out with that as well. Anything you need, feel free to reach out to me. More than happy to help out. More than happy to help out any questions you have. Like I said, we have the fundings available here for you. Later on, we will be talking about injections and collaterals and things that will be needed if you're looking for funding, and also depending on the size of loan that you're looking for. I can go on and on, but I know we have a few more people to talk. So that's all for now. But like Jerome said, if you have questions in the Q&A, feel free to ask, or even put them in the chat if you need to. Okay. I think that's all for now. So next one up.
Oops, thank you very much. And our third speaker is Miss Margaret Tabor. She comes to us from the Ohio Department of Development, Minority Business Development Division. She's a state financial programs and incentives manager. And in this role, she leads the team responsible for overseeing several key direct lending initiatives, including the Ohio Microloan, Women's Business Enterprise Loan, Minority Business Direct Loan, and the Minority Business Bonding Program. Margaret assists small women and minority entrepreneurs in providing education and resources to start and expand their business. With over 20 years of experience in the financial industry, Margaret has built a solid foundation through her work with Chase Bank, the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, and ODOT. Ms. Margaret is a graduate of Alcorn State University and Franklin University. So with that, we'll turn it over to Ms. Margaret. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Department of Development, Minority Business Division, where we're here to help small businesses sustain and grow their businesses. And through not only through the programs that I work with, we also do that through certifications. We help businesses with their MBE certifications. If you're looking to get your certification as a minority business enterprise, or if you are a women-owned business and you're looking to get your WBE certification, we also do veteran-friendly certification here at Department of Development, as well as doing helping with supplier engagement, procurement, and assisting with contract with that also in this area. But for me and for the loan process, we have several programs that I manage here in MBDD, starting with our WBE program, which is our Women Business Enterprise Loan, and our direct loan program, and I'm going to kind of combine those together, and we can kind of talk later if you have questions when we get into the panel discussions, any questions you have, because they're similar. For those programs, we can help businesses finance up to 75% of their projects. And with that being said, we can help you with your purchase of commercial real estate, machinery and equipment, with leasehold improvement, renovations. If you're looking to if you already have your real estate and you're looking to outfit it into what your business needs, our loans can assist you with that. So, and we can help you with 75%. The 25%, we do ask you to have a stake in the loan. So we're asking for a 25% equity contribution with a minimum of 10% coming directly from the borrower. The 15% can come from a third-party contributor. And those loans, we you know what? We do a lot of business with these loans over the course of these programs. They've been around for pretty much the last 4 or 5 years, and we really do a lot of business. For our WBE, it starts at a minimum of 45,000 and goes up to 500,000. Our direct loan starts at 500 and can go up to 40. I'm sorry, a million now. We go up to $1 million for the direct loan. So that can go a long way for getting businesses the assistance that they need, because honestly, that's actually only one of our true purposes for being in this space here at MBDD. One of our most popular loans is our micro loan, which is used to provide working capital to businesses, which over the time we have determined is one of the most needed things that businesses need. Working capital, whether it's for assisting with getting payroll through the gates. We understand that businesses do the work, but sometimes the pay may not come for additional 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes up to a few months out. And even though people do the work, people need to be paid before the businesses are paid. So working capital is a must for businesses, or making sure they are stocked with inventory to keep the work going. So the micro loan is one of our most popular loans, starting with a minimum of $10,000 up to $45,000. It is at a 0% interest rate that we offer this loan. There is no personal credit check, but even though we're not vetting your personal credit, we are looking at your business to make sure it is able to sustain the debt of a new loan. So I know people get excited when they hear no personal personal business credit is going to be pulled, but we do our due diligence to make sure the business is able to support the debt of financing a new business debt. So there's some other caveats about the loan, but we can get more into them later this afternoon as we answer some of the questions from the panel discussion and some of your Q&A. Thank you.
So sorry about that. Okay, great. All righty. Well, we'll go ahead and give our panelists a few questions. Again, if you have any, just type them into the chat there in the Q&A. And as we get them, Tony, I'll ask the first question, then maybe we can check the chat here. Let's see, panelists. My questions. Do you offer any loans specifically for veteran or women-owned businesses?
Okay, want me to take the first stab at it?
Okay, sure. Thanks, Jerome. Sorry.
Okay, so we do offer it's an SBA Express loan, so it's a loan that's under under $500,000. It only comes with a 50% guarantee, but it's a faster process since it's delegated. The bank makes the lending decision on that. The advantage is that veteran-owned businesses, so any business that's 51% veteran-owned, or the spouse or widower of a veteran, there are no upfront guarantee fees. So saving roughly 3% of the loan amount. So that's the program that we have.
And we do have funding for veterans. Our veterans, they get their loans at 7% interest, but they can get any size loan that they're looking for.
Okay, currently we do not have any specifically funding for veterans, but we do partner with people like ECDI, who's a valuable resource who we can refer veterans over to. But absolutely, we have loans that for women. Any women businesses that are 51% owned by women, we do have our WBE loan and also the micro loan. If you are WBE certified, you can also apply for the microloan.
Okay, great, thank you. And for the panelists, do your funding programs require a business to be in operation for a minimum amount of time?
Yes.
I can go first on that one. For us, you can just have an idea for a business and we can help out with funding for startups. So you can be in business for a few months. You can be in business just saying, hey, I have an idea. I want to get started. We can definitely help out with that. You don't have to be in business for a few years now, but the size of loan that you can get is different from a starting to existing. So anybody under 2 years can qualify for 75,000, over 2 years, at least 500,000, but you can get funding for starting.
SBA also offers the 7A program and the 504 program are available to startup businesses.
Okay, at DOD, we do not have loans for startups. We have a minimum of 2 years in operations for the microloan and the WBE. And for the direct loan, you have to be operating a minimum of 3 years.
Okay, great, thank you. In the Q&A, let's see, we have a question there that we may be able to ask. Tony?
Yes, we do. There's a question on what is the average time to close if a person applies for a loan? Can our panelists speak to that? The average time to close.
So we don't have an average time since we don't lend the money directly. And it all depends on the type of loan that they're seeking. An SBA 7A loan, which is done by SBA approved lenders, which again, 99% of every bank and credit union out there, if they are PLP, which means they have the delegated authority to approve an SBA loan on their own, the last quote that I heard was about 17 to 21 days, but that depends on the lender. It also depends on the completeness of the package. So there are a lot of factors that come into play there. The 504, it's a little different because there are two approvals that are required, first the lender and then the CDC. So that may take a little longer, but I leave that to the CDC once you have that discussion.
With us, it can take a month or two. It all depends on how fast you get the documentation to our lenders and the process. Sometimes for different types of businesses, the size of loan, that also comes into place. But usually about 1 or 2 months.
Similar, it can take up to 90 days, and it all depends on the documentation, the completeness of the application. Once we receive it and start to do the review, once underwriting starts to review the documentation that's being submitted and determine that additional documentation is needed. So honestly, it depends on how complete those applications that are being submitted are actually received, and how I'm trying to say how accurate that documentation. When the applications ask for something, try your best to respond to those questions that's in those applications. Because once underwriting starts reviewing and they determine that that's not what they're asking for, it's going to be bounced back. So that just adds time to the closing of the loan.
Okay. This question is for Edwin. I'm a newly certified DBE working in systems modernization. Turner Construction is one of the major primes in Ohio, and they have consistent DBE participation goals. Can you speak to how ECDI helps DBE firms connect with primes like Turner, and what is the best way to get into their subcontracting pipeline?
Okay, that's a good question. Now that's something I do not do, but our guy, Don Eric, he is my CRC guy at ECDI. He's our contract resource center guy. I can connect you with him, do an introduction email, and he can do all that, connect you with Turner and let you know exactly how that process is going to work, because that's what he normally does. So I can definitely connect you with him. So just shoot me an email. I think we're going to give you my information at the end of it. So give me an email. I'll do an introduction with Don Eric, and he'll be able to help you with Turner.
Thank you. The next question says, can I talk directly to each of the presenters? And that their information will be at the end of the presentation that you'll send out. Is that right?
Yes, we'll
Lynn?
send out their email address. Yes, so that you can reach
Okay.
out. Thank you.
Okay. The next question says, does the SBA, Jerome, does the SBA 504 loan program allow financing for dump trucks?
No, because it only comes in those three flavors, 10 years, 20 years, and 25 years. It would not be eligible on that alone, and you cannot do rolling stock with an SBA 504 loan. You can with an SBA 7A loan.
Okay. That is all of the questions in the Q&A, Lynn.
Okay. Let's see. We have another question for the panelists. Does your organization offer grants to small businesses?
No.
We do
Now
not.
we don't offer grants, but like I say, I know somebody. I do have information on possible business grants. So, like at the end, once she gives you my email, just send me an email with what you're looking for. I have a link of grants, some documents with information on possible business grants, and I know some grant writers I can connect you with as well.
Thank you. Is collateral required for your loan programs, just kind of generally?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Any loan over $50,000, yes. Theoretically, any loan under $50,000, the SBA doesn't require collateral. However, that lender could require collateral if they choose. They can have qualifications that are more stringent than the SBA. They just can't be less stringent than the SBA. So they couldn't do an unsecured $100,000 loan. We wouldn't allow that.
Okay, wonderful. Jerome, could you explain a little bit how the SBA guarantee works for the SBA loans?
Sure. So any loan over $150,000, the SBA guarantees 75% of the loss. Any loan under $150,000, we guarantee 85% of the loss. And like I said early in the beginning of the presentation, the guarantee is not on the loan. So let's say you get $1 million loan, that's not a $750,000 guarantee. That guarantee is on the loss. So I don't know a lender out there who will legally do $1 million loan without collateral. So they're going to get something as collateral. Typically, it's going to be real estate for a loan of that size or some very large and very expensive equipment. So if the loan goes bad, the first thing they're going to do is liquidate their collateral to get as much as they can. If there's still a shortfall, they're going to look at anyone who owns 20% or more to shore up that loss. So do they have any other assets that the lender can liquidate? And whatever they don't collect to make themselves whole, they bring that hopefully much smaller amount back to the SBA, and we cut them a check for 75% of that loss in that $1 million scenario. If that original loan was less than $150,000, we cut them a check for 85% of whatever loss they incur.
Okay, thank you. Edwin or Margaret, do you guys have any kind of guarantee as well too for your programs similar to the SBA's?
Yes, we are going to, well, you know what, we're gonna have collateral on everything. All borrowers with more than 20% ownership in the business is going to be a personal guarantor on the loan. So if depending on the type of use of funds, the collateral is gonna depend. Real estate, of course, we're gonna take first lien on the real estate and large equipment, similar to what Jerome just said. Depending on the microloan, usually it's gonna be all business assets for the business. So it depends on the use of funds, but we definitely will have some type of collateral.
And just like Margaret said, and Jerome, it's the same thing with us. Since we are SBA funded as well, Jerome's part of that, so he knows how that goes. So, and our lenders will go over all that process with you as well, as far as what they do, coming in first. So yes.
Thank you. Okay. Is a business plan required for your loan programs, everyone?
Yes, we would like to see a business plans because we want to know what type of business it is that you want to, create. And also financial projections are important because we want to see how you're going to do financially. Because a lot of times you have a great idea, but once you put it on paper, you can see how your business is going to do in the first few years. Is it going to grow? What your expenses are. Everything comes into play because you can make a lot in your revenue stream, but when you look at your expenses, it might overlap and you might not have anything left over. So those two things are really important and we do need them.
Yeah. For SBA, it does require, we're not lending it directly, but I don't know any SBA lender that doesn't require something. So if the business has been around for 20 years, no, we don't need a business plan. An executive summary would do, which is a very abbreviated version of a business plan. We want to know something about the business, something about the owners, and how you intend to repay the loan. So along with, as Edwin said, financials, historical financials and financial projections. Those are the first things that a lender, speaking as a former lender, the first thing you do is make sure you can get repaid before I bother reading
Absolutely.
the other pages, because I don't care about your marketing plan if you can't repay me. So
Ditto to what Jerome just said. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Okay.
And making sure you can repay us if we loan you the money.
Okay. How important is personal credit score to getting approved for your loans? How important?
That's really important. With ECDI, you need at least a 600 to qualify. And whether you go through a bank, a different banking institution, your credit score is going to mean a lot. It depends if you do qualify. It depends if you don't qualify. Also depends on how much you get. But like I said, for ECDI, all you need is a 600 with us to qualify. And I believe for SBA, if you go straight to them, it's a little higher than that.
yeah. So we kind of leave it to the lender. And as Edwin said, it depends on what you're going to use the funds for and how much you can probably get an SBA 7A loan from a bank if you've got a 625 credit score, if you only need $75,000. But if you need $1 million, a 625 is not going to cut it. You have to be well into the 700s. Now, we don't print a score. We do leave that to the lender. But the lender will have to make a very strong case. If they're doing $1 million loan and you've got a 625 credit score, there's going to have to be an awful lot of extenuating circumstances and offsets.
So at MBDD, we do not check credit. Okay, the braces are killing me today. The credit score, but that does not make it easy because we are vetting the businesses to make sure you can repay the debt. So even though we're not checking your credit score, we are making sure we are looking at your historicals, we are looking at your projections, we are looking at what UCCs are already been filed. We're doing other checks to look at the aspects of the business to see what debts you owe to and looking at the projections of how the business is projected to do over the next 2-3 years, which again, these projections and your business plan can make a huge difference in getting a loan, because projections, when you can come see us and you can sit down and you currently make $50,000, your business revenue is $50,000, and you come with projections of 1.2 mil, you know what? You have to justify. You have to be able to tell me, how do you plan to get from A to B? Because all ideas cannot move that fast over the course of 365 days or over 700 over the course of 2 years. So I know people sometimes get excited, oh, we're not checking credit score, but just make sure we can, when we vet the applications, that the information that you're providing lines up in order for us to make you eligible for the loan.
I have a few questions then, and that just came into the Q&A. This question is for Jerome. How long does it take to get the SBA Express loan approved?
So those are done, those are all delegated. So the SBA doesn't approve express loans. The lender, the SBA lender does that. It's a faster process because they're virtually just entering it into what's called our E-Tran application system, and they're getting a loan number. All of the onus is on the lender. So, and as I know we've all said the same thing, but it is so true. I know from past experience, the lender will ask for certain documentation. In the borrower's mind, once I get you any of that, 50%, 75%, any of that, the clock starts ticking in your mind. But the lender doesn't start the clock until they receive all of the requested information. So in your mind, it may be taking 60 days. However, the lender just got all of the requested information 2 weeks ago. So that always comes into play in that situation. But an express loan could be approved by the SBA, or excuse me, through the SBA E-Tran system in a matter of days because it's all delegated. It just depends on the completeness of the application, which you're going to hear over and over again.
Okay. Well, this question is for all of you. What if you don't have collateral for the loans?
That's
Well,
gonna be hard to work that one.
That's hard. That's hard, I
In
know.
some cases, we can look at if you have equipment or something that's going to equal the value of the size of loan that you're asking for, we might be able to work with that. But that's something that our relationship managers would definitely go over with you because they know what we can and can't do. But that's if you don't have anything to offer, it's going to be a little hard.
It is. We definitely want to look at your balance sheets to see honestly what the business is bringing to the table. And again, we're gonna want that is gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be more difficult for you. But yeah, we're gonna want you to have something. We're gonna need something to secure the loan.
Oh, this question only comes up if you're not buying an asset. If you're buying something, it collateralizes itself. But if you need working capital, and all businesses need some form of operating capital, that's where you have to worry about collateral. Now, if in a business acquisition scenario, so you're acquiring a business, there's always that goodwill airball. So Edwin's selling Quinones trucking. Well, in his mind, I've been doing this for 20 years. This thing is worth $1 million. However, in reality, when you do a business valuation, it may only be worth $500,000. So there's that big $500,000 airball. So either he has to bring the price down, or a business valuation will support $750,000. So the SBA can lend a portion of that. That goodwill airball, we can finance a portion of that. But all the other legs on that stool better be strong financials, historically and projection based. A strong borrower, very good credit scores, personal liquidity. All the other legs on that stool better be very strong. We can do that, but it better be strong.
I know when I was a banker, the legs on the stool were capacity, credit, collateral, and character.
That has not
And
changed.
those legs have to be strong. I'm with you.
Right.
Here's a question for Edwin. Do you help with grants?
No, we don't. We don't do grants. I know we spoke about that earlier. Just send me an email, and I do have information for possible business grants I can send you, and also grant writers I can connect you with. But we do microloans. We don't do grants, unfortunately.
Okay. This question is for Jerome. Any talks about possibly bringing back the targeted or supplemental grants at the SBA?
No. And believe it or not, we don't get any kind of advance notice a lot of the time, particularly during COVID. I would find out what my day was going to be like watching the news, just like everyone else. Like, oh, okay, so that's what I'm having to deal with tomorrow. We don't get any kind of advance notice, but just judging by the state of things right now, I don't see any chance of any grants coming back anytime soon.
Okay. This is a question for anyone. Are DBE certified businesses able to get a loan?
Sure,
It's
we
a
don't turn down anybody.
Yeah,
okay.
with ECDI, you don't need to be certified to get funding.
No.
Okay.
With DOD, the DBE certified businesses, we don't have loans for DBE. You have to be WBE or MBE certified.
Okay. This question may be for you, Margaret. What is the ownership percentage required to qualify as a WBE? What is the
Wow.
minimum credit score of any of the loans? I think we covered that. I think you said 600, but Margaret, what's the
ECDI.
ECDI? Okay,
Okay.
but what is the percentage of ownership for the WBE certificate?
Owned and controlled 51% by women. So if whether it's 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter, but it has to be owned and controlled by 51% women.
Margaret, explain that controlled part because people don't understand that.
Okay, so and you're absolutely right. We do get a lot of this. So when we say owned and controlled, you have to be able to operate, make decisions in the business um, at any time. So being in control of the business means you are, according to your operating agreement, making the decisions for the business to operate. If you are and I don't want to use examples, but you have to be you have to be in control of your business. You have to be the one who, if I go to you, you have to be able to know what's going on at all times, be able to do the work at any time, uh, know what's going on, know all the intricate, sometimes we say secrets of the business. You have to know the ins and outs of the operation of your business.
Okay. This next question says, should we schedule an appointment to see what loans are the best fit for our business? Or do you recommend going online and just applying?
You can, there's two options. You can go online and apply, and our relationship will probably look at it, talk to you, and figure out where you're at and what you need. And at the end of the day, most likely you're going to end up getting connected with me, because you would need a business plan, you would need financial projections. So I suggest I'll send my email out there once they put it out there. Let me know. I'll send you my calendar. We'll sit down, we'll talk, and see where you're at, see what you need, and then I can better serve you that way.
I do suggest having the pre-interview to determine which loan best fits your need, your project need, because all of our loans are project based. So just because we have a max of 500,000 WBE loan, you have to have a project that will max out 500,000. If your project is to buy a piece of equipment that costs $250,000, your project is 250,000, we will loan you 75%, up to 75% up to 250,000. You could not get a loan for 500,000 because all of our loans are project based. So it's best to have that application interview with us. And that way we can kind of help you structure the application, give you some pointers on what you would need to do. And again, I think Jerome said it, the application, we do not start the clock until we have everything. So from the day you submit the application and we don't get everything to send to underwriting for 45 days, that's a month and a half. We don't even start to count. So that first month and a half, that's just your time. And I'm not saying that to be curt or anything. I'm just saying that to let you know that we're 45 days in until underwriting gets it. That's day one for us. So sometimes those scheduled interviews make a huge difference in getting those applications through the gate.
And
Okay.
with SBA, so we do have something on our website called Lender Match. SBA.gov is a website, and just click on Lender Match. But again, it doesn't come to the SBA. Think of Lender Match as eHarmony for lenders and borrowers. So lenders create a profile on Lender Match. These are the kinds of deals we're looking for, this geographic area, this size, whatnot. The borrower would go to Lender Match and say, this is my deal. I'm looking for $100,000 or $250,000 for equipment and working capital. Then the lenders reach out to you directly, or you reach out to the lender directly. So we're not involved in that lending process per se. But to everyone's point, it's best to sit down with someone to make sure that you are lender ready, because you don't want to be frustrated by a very long process. So you can go to the small business development centers here locally. It's at Columbus State, but we have them all over the state. WBC, where Edwin is. We have a VBOC, which ECD overseas, and that's a Veterans Business Outreach. They all do similar things. Try to make sure you're lender ready. We all want you to get the loan. None of us don't want you to get the loan. We want to A, make sure we can get repaid, and B, make sure when you do go, you are ready.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this question may be for Lynn. Are there subcontracting ODOT opportunities for anyone who has the Ohio NMSDC MBE certification? Also, is there cross certification? Lynn, would you like to answer that question?
Well, that's a private sector certification for minority businesses. So it is not reciprocal with Ohio's MBE certification or even ODOT's DBE certification. So you'll have to definitely reach out to the Minority Supplier Development Council directly for that certification. And Ohio, Miss Margaret Tabor's the development department has certification for Ohio MBE. So that's a state certification. So they are separate. They're not reciprocal, unfortunately. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay. Edwin, I think you talked about this early on, that you can get a loan even if you are a startup. But this question says, how long do you have to be in business with tax returns to qualify for a loan?
You don't need to be in business for that. We can help you with your funding. If you do have your business started, you have tax information, that's great. But to get funding through ECDI, you don't need to have that.
Okay.
At least if you're starting off, because you're not going to have that information.
Thank you. So this question is for anyone. How do we know how much capital is needed for the goals we have? Do you help with this process? This
That's
sounds
a,
like a business development question, maybe a coaching question.
it's a tough one, because you need to know the industry, and it depends. You're gonna have a brick and mortar, you're gonna have a home-based business. That all changes on how much funding you're gonna need. So you really have to sit down and think to yourself, what do I actually need to get this off the ground? Do I need equipment? Do I need inventory? So I need a staff. There's all those things you have to look into place, and then that's when you figure out how much you're gonna need. It's hard to just say, oh, I need 500,000. Okay, because we want to know for what it's gonna be for. So we want to see a breakdown of what that money's gonna be for. So it's hard. It's hard to really gauge how much an individual needs, because all industries are different. So it just depends on what you need, basically.
Okay. I believe that's all the questions that I see in the Q&A. Lynn?
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I was responding to another. Let's see. I think you kind of alluded to this, but do you have specialists who can sit down with the business owner one-on-one or in a small group when they're ready to apply for your loan programs?
Yes.
Yes. Well, here at MBDD, in my team, we have loan officers who can assist you with going over the loan programs and assisting you with information on the application. In addition to that, we have our partners, the Minority Business Assistance Centers, who are throughout the state. We call them our MBAC centers. They are across the state. They're local here in Columbus, Cincinnati, Toledo, Akron, and they have financial advisors, business advisors who can also are very familiar with our loan programs. They have business advisors who can assist you with business plans, with helping you get your projections, with helping you work through your financial. So we do have partners throughout the state who can assist you.
I want to echo Margaret's sentiment. So there is a ton of resources out there. There is no
Absolutely.
excuse for you to go into a lender unprepared. And these are free. They're free
Yes.
resources. Take
Yes.
advantage of all of the, well, I don't want to say free. I want to say no cost to you. Free diminishes the value. No cost to you. Because I don't know any of these people who work for free. We're all getting paid. So no cost to you. And it's a great resource. Even if you think that your business plan is top notch, having worked at a bank and the SBDC, there's always something. I've never seen a business plan that couldn't be tweaked. So.
And we help out with business plan projection here at ECDI. I can help you out with that process. And we also connect people with SCORE. SCORE has a lot of volunteers there that also help with those resources. And those are free volunteers. So they'll be more than happy to help out. And I can send you the link to that if you need it.
Okay, great. Awesome. I only had 2 more questions, but I think I already asked them. The first thing the lender is going to look at from the business owner when processing their loan application. What is the first thing? And you guys already said they want
Cash flow.
Sure. Okay.
Cash flow.
Okay. Great. And how they're going to get paid back. Okay. Great. Okay. Those are all the questions from my list. Tony, any more or?
No, I don't see any more
Okay.
questions.
Alrighty. Awesome. Well, guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. There was a message in the Q&A with the email addresses for all the presenters, for all 3 presenters. So be sure to look in there and cut and paste that or copy that before the webinar ends. And so we want to thank all of our presenters. We really, really, really appreciate your time. You could have been anywhere, so thank you. I'm sure the business owners who we have attending, this has been helpful. And business owners, just follow up directly and they'll be happy to help you. Our next webinar will be on the workforce development topic. It will be entitled Building Futures, Establishing Workforce Pipelines. So our keynote speaker is Dusty Bryant with the Urban League of Greater Southwestern Ohio. And he's going to talk about how the Buildings Futures program is part of the Brent Spence project and how the program's success with recruiting the next generation into the construction industry has gone. Lots of successes. So if you're interested in that topic, feel free to go to, again, transportation.ohio.gov/events and look for that and look for our other webinars. Okay, and hopefully we'll see you on the 21st. And just thank you again, once again, presenters, and thank you everyone as well for taking time out of your schedule to join us today. We look forward to seeing you in the future on one of our other webinars. Have a great day. Bye-bye.